Hello and welcome to the Stress Mastery Podcast. I am your host, Peggy Romero. I thank you for joining me on this Saturday episode. We are at Unity Village right now at the Rise Up and Shift event. It's so exciting. I'm glad you guys are joining me today. This week we've been talking about getting unstuck, and boy, am I in the right place for that. We've got lots of information and experience and exercises to do, so I'm really looking forward to it. You know, we talk a lot about climbing the mountain, getting out of the valley. If we're growing, we're constantly living in transition, so it can be uncomfortable. It has to be. If we're ever changing, ever growing, everything's different all the time. Living life to the fullest, right? Always in process of achieving our next goal, rising up and taking the next step, making new goals for ourselves, and then achieving those too, right? Well, yeah and no, because we all get stuck sometimes. Some of us stay stuck for years and years. Some of us spend our life trying. Some of us are just content with being the way we are. So let's be honest, some people actually get stuck for their whole entire life. That's a really sad statement, but it's also really true. So remember that stinking comfort zone? You know, the cage that we're always talking about? Well, when we talk about the cage, we mean exactly that. It's a cage. It's designed to keep you stuck. I mean, that's what a cage is, right? So imagine you're there, just sitting there in your life, stuck in the cage, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Some of us, every day looks like the one before. I call that feeling when I get stuck Groundhog's Day. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that old movie where Bill Murray gets stuck in the same day. I love that movie. It's always reminded me of being stuck. Like how mundane, nothing too eventful, nothing too exciting. I'd lose my spark after a while. Anyways, I've been struggling with this, like being stuck myself lately. For work, I'm doing great. I'm imaginative. I just love doing this podcast. We're at this great event that I've been working on. And I finally published my book. Yep, it came out this week and people are buying it and I'm getting great reviews. I'm getting great reviews from as many strangers as friends. It's so cool. I feel totally blessed. It's all so amazing and overwhelming. It feels awesome. I hit the bestsellers list on a few categories on Amazon. Yeah, me. Ta-da! So there we go. I'm not stuck there. And in my book, I tell you guys how I've been able to change my life from being raised up pretty poor and living in a lack program my whole entire young life to building a full and successful life and being able to self-author my future. Can you believe it? Now I'm finally a successful entrepreneur. I'm a speaker and a coach. And now, #1 best-selling author. I've been able to climb the mountain step by step. I've said it 100 times. Each step that you take successfully will give you confidence to take the next one. But guys, I didn't know or understand stress mastery for all these years. In fact, just maybe the past couple of years, I get it. I wasn't really properly working a plan for my life. I had no idea about personal development. I thought it was like kind of weird, kind of just for, those woohoo people. Certainly not for me or any of the friends I knew. None of us were working on ourselves intentionally. So I was living every day in stress, a great deal of stress, like more and more stress. I lived in force because I didn't want to be stuck, but I didn't know how to live in peace and move forward. I could have been really happy with the accomplishments, with all the strides I've been making, but I wasn't. So we've gone over the purposes and pendulums many, many times. So I'm a vitality purpose and I can't stand stagnation. So that would bring on my force, pushing, driving, headstrong. I've always been working on something, but it wasn't really attached to my purpose. Well, not intentionally anyways. But sometimes it wasn't even within my purpose. I love to raise energy around me, mine and yours. So lots of things just came naturally, but like I said, accidentally. But most of my life, I was living in the base energy of fear. Well, fear and frustration. Red zone. So yeah, learning and growing in some areas, but stuck like cement in my shoes in another. Even while I climbed up and out of poverty, I was always afraid of what people thought about me. Actually, to be honest, I was afraid of what I thought about myself. I really didn't even know what to think. I had such a fear of failure. That fear was my driving force every single day of my life. Oh, they're all looking at me, waiting for me to fall. Who does she think she is anyways? Oh, great. Now does she think she's better than us? So then I tell myself, they don't even think that you can do it, but I'll show them more force. But then you achieve that, and then, excuse me, and then it's imposter syndrome, where my ego, doesn't believe that I could actually pull it off either. Lack of confidence and the fear and just worried about failing all the time, it derailed me a million times. Scared to death most of my life. It stinks. I always say, do it scared, but do it anyways. And I still think that's a great mantra. I remind myself of it all the time. But as you're doing it, you got to release the fear that's been driving you in the first place. I let the want of approval push me forward my whole life. But success has to be for you. It doesn't really matter what they think. If you're doing the things for you, then you don't care if you fail, because you can accept it as just a learning experience, part of the learning curve, right? You don't care what they say about you. You care what you say about you. For me, it's really strong in my soul. I want to live my life for what God has prepared me for. So I care what God says about me and about my accomplishments. And I wasn't raised in a family that had great communication. So our relationships didn't have boundaries. And so trying to push forward in life and have better relationships, I didn't know how. So I've had to learn how to set boundaries for me, but I also have had to learn to respect other people's boundaries. Nobody taught me that. I just learned by trial and error and running people over. So of course, because of that personality and that drive and that force, my relationships have suffered. I've been stuck here in a relationship program for years, not knowing how to fix it. Still not knowing how to fix it, really. I mean, I'm working on it. But like I said before, I didn't know that personal development was even a thing. Finally, I'm getting it. So I see now clearly every relationship problem is me. It's my problem every single time. And I wish things were better than they are, but they've gotten so much better. But they are moving forward, and I know that eventually I'll get it all figured out. So many of my relationships have suffered, and some have even died because I didn't have this figured out. So many unresolved conflicts, all those fights that end in whatever. That's the kind of stuff that leads to resentment. Unresolved issues, like seriously, those are killers of peace. So then there's the lack of communication, and I know that's a problem. A conversation that I have to have, I'll deal with that later. But we all know tomorrow never comes. So living with unresolved conflicts stinks. I've neglected my relationships with my children, with my siblings, with my friends over the years. And add that to the pressure to thrive, to win, to be successful, the need to be seen, the want of approval. My life became a life of just basic surviving. Too much hurt, too much pain, too many scars and stress, not enough peace, love, and joy. And isn't that why we're here? It certainly has to be more than just surviving. Life can be so much better than that. Life is so much better than that. But we need balance in everything. So I have to give myself a break because I just didn't know what I didn't know. And I'm learning as I go. And I love it. And I'm so glad. We can only experience what we hold in mind. So all those years I accepted that craziness as my life, and I was mostly fine with it, really. It wasn't a bad life. It just wasn't good. But notice I did say mostly because there was something inside me. I knew I was stuck. I knew that there had to be more to life than this. And guys, there is. I promise you there is. So once I decided to do something about the crazy, I started coaching and working in the Stress Mastery community and with Bill. So things started getting better for me internally, emotionally. You guys, naming the ego, life-changing. Listening to that inner critic is exhausting. And here we do it day after day. Michael Singer calls the ego your crappy roommate that you'd get rid of once you realized how lousy they were. Well, that was for me. Once I found out that that voice in my head was not actually me, I decided and believed I don't really have to listen to it. I don't have to let that run my life. So I made being aware of who's talking and who I'm listening to a priority. It isn't even you that wants you to stay the same. Most of us want to do something better. I mean, come on, seriously? We all have hopes and dreams for ourselves and for our loved ones. Yet here we stay stuck, not willing to make a move until we are ready to make a move. And I'm so happy to be here at Unity Village this weekend because the people here are like-minded people. We all want to move forward. So these guys have made a decision to make themselves vulnerable, to be ready to listen, willing to learn, able to do. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're totally ready to go. So don't you guys think it's just crazy that we live our life not totally happy? Usually completely stressed out, mad, angry all the time, frustrated, bored, whatever, wishing for things to be different. And yet here we are just doing the same thing every day. How can things get better if we don't get better? We cannot even hear the answer. We're not willing to see it. I know I spent years trying to live my life the same way without making any significant changes in myself, yet somehow expecting my emotional self to get better. How? So back to being stuck. That's all part of it. Again, that's the cage, the comfort zone. We're comfortable sitting there being unhappy and uncomfortable. I know for me, I'll reach a goal, but then it's a plateau. I get stuck there. So what am I saying? When you are in charge of your life, you still get stuck. I do fairly well with self-offering in my life. I hope you do too. I've tamed my inner voice, that ego, quite a bit. Oh yeah, she's still there, alive and fighting, kicking away. But I have Lucy's roar down to like an annoying little voice most days. So here's an example of being stuck. My book finally came out this week. Well, guys, I finished writing that book 2 months ago. I finished the final edits and sent it back and ordered my copies several weeks ago, maybe 3-4 weeks ago. So why am I still sitting here? I already have my next project in mind. Yeah, I already have the next idea ready to go. It's in my heart. I even have a rough outline on paper. I have so many ideas of what I could do next. I know I can accomplish anything that I set my mind to. So what the heck am I afraid of? Why, even after all this work on myself, am I sitting here stagnant? Hell if I know. I do know that procrastination is fear in a different package. I do know about all the resistances that the ego uses to hold us back. I do know that no matter what, I will get it together and move forward. You see, there it is, that imposter syndrome again, telling me it's all a fluke. Peggy, how could you possibly be a best-selling author? Who do you think you are? You're not a good writer. You just had a good editor. The people who told me that they couldn't put my book down, yeah, they were probably full of crap just trying to be nice. Or is it my fear of failure trying to keep me stuck here, stuck on this spot? I'm getting too old to take risk. People are going to talk. Why can't you ever be content with what you have? I guess Lucy might not be as quiet as I think she is. Not today anyways. So getting unstuck for me, I know I have to stay connected to my intentions, my heart's desires. I know deep down that I'm here for a reason. We all are, including you. So I know that I'm here on this earth to encourage you, to love you, to show you by example that you can do it too, that you don't have to stay where you are. I'm here to teach you to do it scared, but do it anyways. I know I'm not going to be on this ledge for a long time. No longer will I have to sit and settle into my new identity for years like I have had to in the past. I will find my strength and courage to pull it together much faster than I used to. Remember, we can only experience what we hold in mind. Well, I have awesome experience of being successful. I've reprogrammed myself to the identity that I am a best-selling author. I am an amazing coach that changes the lives of many. I am blessed beyond measure. The truth is that I wasn't even surprised when I hit the bestsellers list. I'm not trying to sound vain or conceited or anything. There I am worrying about what you think about me. Crazy, isn't it? I had visualized being a #1 best-selling author for years. Holding the book in my hand for the first time yesterday was overwhelming. Seriously, I was crying from being overjoyed. I loved it. It was exactly as I had imagined it. You guys, I'd felt those pages physically. I mean, really felt them between my fingers 1,000 times. Opening the book, turning the page. Sorry. So no, I won't stay here for long. I'm just taking a day or two to catch my breath and bask in this new identity. I'm so excited to share this with people, to let everyone know that we all get stuck and it's okay. Change is always uncomfortable, even when you're the one who chose to make the change. But I'm telling you, I think it was Walt Disney that said, if you can dream it, you can do it. That was another thing I thought I made up. I found out I didn't. So here we are at the event. We're all working on goal setting. And you guys, the higher goal setting practice, it's not willy-nilly, oh, it's New Year's, make your goals, and oh crap, I already failed and it's only, January 6th. I wanted this and that. Oh, I'll try again next year. It's none of that. This is a process where you connect to your higher self, your true self, your true heart's desires. You pull out what you want, get rid of the junk. You connect to why you want it. You connect it to your purpose and set the intention, just like I did with that book. Once you set your mind and your heart together, there's no stopping you. Remember, you can't fail if you don't quit. So guys, may I suggest that you get into the Stress Mastery community. You name your ego. You start listening to that voice that's telling you you can't. Decide to let the negative crap go. Sorry, Jenny. You don't need it. It's not even you. It's not even true. So I am a firm believer in Green Focus Power Hour, also in the community. And I know that you can't start too many things at once, but if you're not going to start Green Focus Power Hour, which has named the ego and visualization and everything that you need in there, at least start imagining the life that you want. Picture it. Feel it. Be a part of it. Because it's you, just reimagined. It's you unstuck. So go into the community and you can find these lessons and resources. And if you need help, reach out. We're all super busy this weekend, but I will be available to answer anything on Monday. Next week, we're going to be broadcasting the podcast that we're recording while we're here with a few of the participants at the event. It's going to be so fun. Really looking forward to it. So I want to tell you guys that I have a good website, peggyromero.com. You can buy my book there, but I also have some other stuff in there about stress mastery and just about life in general. And I hope that the ideas that I'm giving you today on this podcast will give you hope and courage and confidence to move forward, because you don't have to stay stuck. No matter who you are, how old you are, or how long you've been sitting on this plateau, if you're alive, you can change. So it doesn't matter. If you're listening to this podcast, I already know that you want to move forward. You wouldn't be listening to the Stress Mastery podcast if you weren't trying to have a better life. So do one thing to get unstuck today, even if it's just saying something positive to yourself, like, I'm amazing, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm beautiful, I can do all things. And I look forward to all of us bravely taking a step into the direction of our new life. We all have the ability to do it. You don't have to be supernatural or someone special. You just have to remember to take a step and to live every single day on purpose. I hope this helps you guys. Anyways, that's it for today's show, because I have a speaking engagement that I have to get ready for. That's it for today's show. Our mission here is to create a shift in the planet, and you can join us on that mission by simply like, share, and subscribe. The links are right below the show notes. As always, until next time, stay inspired.